Hey everyone, today we are gonna be planting this garden. Today is the 27th of May. Last year I could have planted probably 3 weeks ago. This season has been significantly cooler, but now we're finally getting some days where temperatures are reaching the 80s suddenly. A couple days ago we had a frost that was bad enough the grass was white and crispy walking around at night. So we will activate this electric fence later, and I'll give it a test in a few spots with the back of my hand to make sure it's working properly. I bought a solar controller, but obviously first I got to get a couple more of these to make sure this doesn't touch and stuff. I also have to go around and make sure it stays mowed, because grass can touch it, but if it's touching too much of it, it can short it out or make it not work as well. Now, this thing here, I was told, like, bigger animals usually aren't the problem. It's usually smaller things that are going to steal from a garden, like raccoons and stuff, more likely. But this should stop them from climbing up. Hopefully the one on the bottom will stop them from digging. And I was told by the Tractor Supply, if something like a bear was a problem, you got to put peanut butter on it, because they have to get it on a nose, because an electric fence they'd be able to feel through their fur is something that's probably too dangerous to have on your property. The kind of fences they have in a zoo, if you touch that with human skin, you are going to be very screwed up. Because the voltage coming through a electric fence like this, it's not really going to be felt by a bear. So we put down this landscape fabric last year. Last August is when I built this garden. So it had last August through now, May, to bake in the sun. Now, a lot of people have been telling me to leave it down and plant as a weed barrier, and I've seen lots of videos of people doing that. It seems to work good in people's videos. I just don't understand how it doesn't bake the seedling. I get down, and it's not like asphalt. At first it burns my hand, but it quickly cools down because it's so thin. And I think all the logs and stuff that I have in here, we can throw out of here and start splitting them for firewood. I think I am going to take up the landscape fabric, only because I did talk to one of the local farmers who lives down the road, and he doesn't grow vegetables except for corn, but that's cow corn, which is cattle feed. It's usually bigger kernels that you probably wouldn't want to eat, and hay. Well, he told me that sometimes, especially in the cooler climates, even though last summer was the hottest on record here, sometimes it can cause fungus and other things to grow under it. It's also a nice place for pests to hang out and reproduce. So for that reason, I'm thinking I'm going to do a trial in one area. I'm going to leave part of it like that. I'm going to take some of the advice in my comments. Someone had a good idea, and I've seen some other people doing it in their videos. I'm going to take a blowtorch and burn holes through it, because you kind of have to. You see how this is woven? This is woven plastic. It's UV resistant. It can last outside quite a few years, but if you cut it, it frays. And I also should go to the ends of it, like you see how it's fraying here. I'm just going to go along with the blowtorch like here and take that part off, and it should be nice and melted so it stops fraying. So the whole point of us putting this down last year, I got a little distracted there, is to bake any seeds. The heat and humidity being kept by this will germinate any seeds. Lack of sunlight will kill them. The heat of this thing in the sun will also kill anything that starts sprouting. And I was advised that I probably should have let it go another year before the first year planting in the area, because there might still be some things that are active since I did it late in the year, but August isn't that late. We still had another hot month after I did this. But I think I'm going to maybe plan next year's expansion of the garden. I'm going to rototill it, and that can bake all June, July, August, the whole year, just bake. And for that reason, you know what I think I might actually do to make life a little bit easier? I don't even think I'm going to buy a nice rototiller this year. I didn't buy a nice rototiller last year because I couldn't afford it. I bought a cheap one. It literally broke down the first time using it, if you saw that video. So the next one, I'm going to have to just get an expensive one that'll last me quite a while. So This year, I think I'm just gonna put this down over the lawn where I plan on, I'm just gonna expand it right next to it without a fence, and just gonna put it right down on the lawn, held down with logs. I think that's what I'm gonna do. Not tilling at all. The grass, everything should be so dead there, baking all summer, that when I go to rototill it in the spring, it'll just be dead. Nothing should happen in that case. But last year I put down so much cow manure bags, nice Miracle-Gro potting soil, and many bags of peat moss, and tilled them into the soil. See right there? That's some extra stuff in case I think I need more. So yeah, there's a lot of grass clumps, and I'm hoping they're all dead. We're gonna start ripping this up, and we're gonna keep just a little bit of it as a barrier. The back corner, so it won't shade anything out. The sun comes from behind me. I'm gonna plant a little patch of corn right here. Think about 6 by 6 feet. We're gonna plant that by seed. But now we're gonna go inside, and we're gonna have quite a few tomatoes. I bought probably, I think like 30 tomato cages. So we should have a good crop by the end of the year. All right, everybody, I'm just gonna set up a time lapse of me prepping this, and then once we start using the blowtorch and stuff, I'll show you what I'm doing. Just had to get sunscreen on. The sun already feels really hot. You know, all the time I'm always like, oh, I'm only gonna be out here like an hour or two. I don't really need it, but I'll probably be out here until the sun goes down working on stuff, so I better do it. I'm sure this landscape fabric worked awesome. Have you ever accidentally left something dark colored outside in the sun? It'll bake the lawn, whether it be a empty kid's pool or a Tupperware bin. It bakes things pretty fast. I'm somebody who can't take the heat too well. This is already very horrible to me. But I stopped the camera because I wanted to show you guys this. Look at all the worms. Look how quickly they're moving. It's because the sun is hot. Any of them that I find on the tarp, I have to kick off into the dirt, hoping they can just come right back out. Now these worms, they can just go down into the dirt. I want to help the slug. Now this slug, I'm gonna just throw them out of the garden because those things will eat the garden. I'm probably gonna make beer traps for any of them that come into here. A beer trap, they're attracted to beer, so when they go into the container, they drown. Quarterizing the end of the fabric like there did work pretty well. I don't think I'm gonna use any of the fabric. It's so hot in here. And also, look, pests were a problem. See this? I didn't see what was living in here, but I'm guessing it was probably a vole. See these little compartments where they were probably sleeping throughout the winter, using that stuff as insulation. Maybe up here was another one. Yeah, you could tell these guys are drying out fast. Look at that. Any of them that are unfortunate enough to be on that black stuff, because there's literal worms. Some of them are so small you just can't get them all. They're underneath every single log. They probably got under there during a rainstorm. The wind is strong and very annoying today. It has actually blown out the blowtorch a couple of times. But you see how easy this goes? Just go along the end of this, slightly melt it, don't hold it there long enough for the plastic to catch on fire. Worked pretty well. You keep getting a couple little fires because there's lots of dry leaves and stuff around here. Look at the amount of stuff that survived underneath that fabric. There's little seedlings everywhere of weeds and junk. So even during the winter, this stuff didn't compact that much. I could still literally plant with just my hands because last year we tilled at least 6 inches down into the ground. I'm leaving this one piece of fabric Gonna see how it goes with some plants. But a lot of things I don't even think need the weed barrier, because over here we're gonna grow tall things like corn. We're gonna have the cucumber and zucchini plants, which have big leaves and they block the sun pretty well themselves. I've done that a bunch of times. So the fabric killed most of it, and we're leaving that 1/3 of the garden covered, and we'll make some holes and stuff. Because the sun comes from mainly the side of the garden towards the right, I think I'm gonna hang up some shading fabric along the fence that they sell at the store, so it filters a little bit of the sun. Just at first, while they're getting used to being out here from the house. And now we're gonna add some ash. So I'm gonna grab a shovel, I'm gonna fling all of this into the garden. This right here is a bunch of fireplace ash from heating in the wintertime. The majority of the year I kept throwing the ash outside on the hill in the yard, making like pictures and stuff along the snow, because when the sun hits it, it melts it and makes cool patterns, smiley faces and hearts, that kind of stuff. I'm gonna have so much room here in the barn soon. I'm giving that little snowblower to my mother, and this big snowblower I still have yet to move to the shed because I'm lazy. Usually what encourages me to move it to the shed is starting to mow the lawn, because I need to get to the lawnmower in here, and this year the grass I don't think is long enough to start mowing yet. The first time I mow the lawn, I wait for it to get really long so it can drop its own seeds. Then it becomes ultra thick. If you got lots of ticks in your yard, wearing rubber boots helps more than you could ever imagine. All right, everyone, I'm a little tired, but I got the majority of this. I say the majority because even though as I'm banging it in and moving it back, I can't tell what I have done today and what I haven't done because it's already pretty soft. I just wanted to aerate it a little bit. Like just me walking there is packing it probably just as much as the winter did. Not really noticing much. There are probably thousands of earthworms in here, being attracted by all the nutritious soil we added last year. Unfortunately, I snipped a bunch of them in half with this thing. But supposedly earthworms can survive being cut in half, at least one end at least. That's what I've heard. So I'm gonna go ahead and get on my seeds. We're gonna seed this entire part here, and we're not going to plant the seedlings from in the house until the sun starts to go down. I just feel like that'll be better for their survival, because as I'm planting them, I feel like they might die from not being watered, if you know what I mean. But I'm gonna get them out here in the shade, and I'm gonna figure out exactly how I wanna arrange them in here. And I am gonna burn the holes while the sun's out, set up all the tomato cages while the sun's out. Over here, the back corner is gonna be corn, a good patch of it back there, and good amount of lettuce in here somewhere, probably towards the front so it doesn't get blocked by the sun. How clean this frog pond's looking today. Crystal clear water. I left it trickling really slow all night just to give them some good filtration. This water's coming out of the well. Yeah, that's so cool. The sun is heating it up, so it's coming out of here actually lukewarm, not freezing cold like the well. That's really nice. But I'm gonna take that out, and you see how some of them can get back here. Oh, actually, no, there's really none that are gonna get trapped out of the water. Cool. Look at them all. They're ready for their feeding. I have to come out here and manually put food in because there's too many for the algae bloom to support them. I've been feeding them various types of fish food if you've seen my shorts. I think this time lapse came out really, really good. So right now, if you can tell, I am recording the audio from another device, and this is just a break where I'm explaining it. This video I've been trying to figure out for 2 days, but the glitches, there's just way too many of them. It's very bad. That sun outside was potent. Only about an hour working out there. I'm already drenched in sweat and stinky. All right, so look, here's how our plants did inside the house. Over a foot tall, some of the tomato plants. So we're finally gonna shut the grow lamp off. We've been running that 24 hours, which was the way to go. It stopped them from growing as scraggly. Done with the grow lamp for this year. The peppers barely came up. I don't know if they are having trouble germinating, but it's been an absolute month. But look how small the ones are that did come up. The ones like that, I think I'm gonna give a shot. I'm gonna leave them in the house for a little while, see if they will sprout. Mr. Wiggles in here looks like he's about to shed. He's turning really dark. Gonna have to feed him a mouse tonight too. So I brought all the plants outside, and you see immediately the wind has already pushed them over. Hopefully it hasn't broken them. Just waiting for the trickle to come out of here, and we can let them sit for a little while. I remember the first time a couple of years back, my first year planting, woodchuck just came by and ate everything the first night, just mowed them right down to the ground. But they're in a fence, and I haven't seen a woodchuck. We had one last year, but I moved him. At least we got one bell pepper. This one right here looks like it's already wilting since we brought it outside. That's why I'm giving them a little bit of water in the trays. Now, during this time lapse, hear that noise it's making? It's a time lapse without sound. That's another glitch, and I think that might be part of the root of the problem. All right, everyone, so there are 26 of these tomato cages. Now we're going to go ahead and burn a hole in the bottom of each one, probably about an 8-inch diameter I'm going to do, so I can dig a nice hole, put each seedling in there, and if there's not enough seedlings, I'll get some store-bought ones. Whatever seedlings may die right away, because I think if they die, they're going to die in the next day or two. But there's going to be a lot of tomatoes, whether they're the seed ones or the store-bought ones. And then maybe we'll put something in this little empty spot there. I just ran out of cages. I just bought the whole thing of these things they had at the Home Depot about a month back. Now we're going to go ahead and plant corn. We're doing white corn, the trucker's corn that came in that kit. Only corn it came with. And up front here, where it won't get blocked by the taller plants, this is where we're going to put the vines for the, the cucumbers. And then I think we're going to put peppers more along the walkway here. I have a ton of seeds for marigolds. Going to have a whole row of marigolds right here. Another row right here making like a walkway. Sprinkle marigolds around the perimeter, and wherever they grow, great. Burning these holes is actually fun. Now, it's not necessarily my fault that they're not even. We had to move around a few because just the smallest rock in the ground was preventing some of the cages from going in. Look how easy that is. Look at that. The corn seeds came with a perfect amount to make a patch. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 by 7 patch, and they're about 12 inches apart. Now I'm going to go ahead and push each one down about 2 inches into the ground. All right, everyone, a few hours later, it's coming along. The corn is planted. I just put the seeds on top and put little 2-inch humps over each one. Right now I'm just letting the hose on low flood the ditch. That ditch right there next to the fence, I put a whole bunch of marigold seeds in there, moved it around a little bit to bury them, and now I'm letting it flood. Right here I just started packing. I made a hump with the soil in the garden. I put a bunch of Black Simpson lettuce seeds in there, or on top of the hump. Then I put about an inch of soil on top of it that I'm now compacting down to about a half an inch, that they should have no problem coming up through. The lettuce grows very fast once it germinates. And you see I just dug out another trench right here. I'm doing the same thing, packing down the garden soil. This one is going to be a different sort of lettuce. Then I'm going to put a little layer of Miracle-Gro soil on top of it. Then I'm going to start digging another little hump. The next one will be broccoli. The next one will be carrots. And then the cucumbers I'm going to put in that little spot at the end, and they can crawl out here or crawl up the fence, wherever. I think that's about it for this garden. I will try other things, but I'm just going to plant them on the edge of the woods and not really care about them. Maybe something will happen, maybe something won't. All right, everyone, we're making a little bit of progress now. We got this side of the garden all planted. I will set up a sprinkler later, but right now I'm just flooding the ditches. When one of them fills up, I've been just switching them around to drench underneath everything. So what we got here is cucumber going up to here. Here is, that's carrot going there, back to here. Broccoli here to the end. This entire row here is the Butter Crunch lettuce head, and over here is the Black Seed Simpson lettuce, the whole thing. Over here on the other side, we're getting ready to put tomatoes in. I'm putting marigolds between them all to help give off that odor that the tomato worms hate. It's going along pretty good. Melting holes in here. Taking this tool, just like that. Pull it out, you can put that right in there. And put this back in there around it. It's going along very smooth. Except that one. That's actually the first one I've hit a rock, so it's a little more shallow. So these have been growing in the house for about a month, and I'm tearing some of them open, and the seed didn't even sprout. I'm assuming it's probably definitely dead. Wow, look how big the rest of the cucumber plant got. While I was ripping it open, look what I found inside the ground, or inside that little, look at this. See that? That is a maggot for a tiny little mud fly, or whatever you call them. So everyone, I'm getting everything into the ground right now. The cucumbers, I opened up a bunch of them, and the seeds have zero growth. Don't think anything's gonna grow there. Bell peppers, these ones, they're in there growing. They just haven't come up yet. So the bell peppers that didn't come up will be returned to the house. And if I can't think of a place to put them, maybe I'll give those little sprouts to people I know, because there's still a lot of summer left. They'll get big and start producing. These bell peppers are the ones that are most developed. These 8 I'm going to go plant somewhere. The Morrow Globe tomatoes had a very high success rate. The zinnias had a pretty good success rate. Forgot what was there. Oh yeah, that was the asparagus. Asparagus is planted in pots because I'm going to bring them in the house. They won't survive the winter, and they take 3 years to produce. Zucchini, I only got 3 of them, and the rest are dead. The peas, here's the weird thing about the peas, okay? Every single one in here is dead. I open them up, cannot find it. It's like the little maggots, or it completely rotted away. There's no evidence. But the one I spilled on the outside grew. Now we're going to go put that somewhere where it can climb. Boston cucumbers. We only got a few, and I'm assuming those are all dead, but I'm going to go around opening them and looking for sprouts. Very high success rate over here with the cherry tomatoes. These are the hot pepper plants. Not the worst, but I'm also pretty sure that a lot of those are still going to come up. They're just slow. I just flooded these while they're outside because it's pretty hot. I'll drain that water when they come back in the house tonight. But I think everything coming back in the house will be able to be concentrated into like half a tray. All right, everybody, we finally got everything planted. It took 8 hours today, and from all that bending over, my back is hurting a lot. So in this pot right here, I think these are going to survive. They're not wilting at all, and they were planted hours ago. These are bell peppers. 1, 2, 3, 4 of them in here. I've never planted bell peppers before. I'm not sure how tall they get, but the cage is here just in case. And the cage, I have a bean plant that's going to be climbing that. Identical thing over in this pot. Up top here, I did not have many hot peppers grow, but they seem slow. So the rest, I'm actually not bringing them back in the house. They're going to stay outside, and whatever starts sprouting will be planted in here. But there's 1, 2, only 3 hot pepper plants at the moment, and I'm not exactly sure which ones. I lost track of what type. Over here are a few things that I didn't think could grow comfortably in there at full size. There, and there are, I think, zucchini plants. Hopefully they live. That thing looks like it might die. Basically, whatever's alive in a couple days should be fine. The ones that aren't going to make it are probably going to be dead tomorrow as soon as the sun gets hot again. So these are put in that little thing, and they're allowed to grow because they're vines. They can grow by the end of the summer, sometimes over 30 feet long. They can go wherever they want, and I just won't mow around them. I mean, I won't mow over them. They can just occupy whatever space they want. This is asparagus. I planted a bunch of them in there. I know they're gonna sprout. They just haven't really came up yet because I dug up a few of the seeds. They are gonna come up. And in here, that's asparagus. It takes a few years to get a harvest, so they will have to come in the house. They won't survive the winter. That's the reason I put so little dirt in the big pot, because I won't be able to lift it. Now, peat moss, if anyone's ever purchased that themselves, it's usually unexpectedly light when you pick it up. Not this time. I bought the stuff last year, sitting here all winter, getting rained on. Moisture got in there. That thing is so heavy, I just came over with buckets. I can't even pick it up without a hand truck. Now, these are just going to remain here. Whatever pops back will get planted somewhere. Otherwise, the rest will just die. I'll make sure they stay moist. I'll keep the trays like half full of water. So what's remaining in here is majority tomatoes and the pepper plants. So yes, these are pepper plants, you see? Those little teeny white things, they're coming up. I think they're going to be okay, and I'm probably going to end up maybe even moving those over there tomorrow because I didn't notice those little sprouts starting. So here we are inside the garden. Let me show you what we got. I'm actually going to put a big cinder block here so it's not as hard to go over this, especially when this is energized. I'll probably work on the electric fence sometime next week. I don't expect the pest to be a huge problem yet. Plus, most things that would come in here now are small, and that wouldn't stop them anyways. Small things like mice, voles, that kind of stuff. And they're going to chew down the plant no matter what. And something big like a raccoon, I don't think it would have interest because there's no real food in here yet. So over here, I explained to you guys what all this is. I'm about to set up a giant sprinkler in here. And so the sprinklers always leak a little bit in my experience, the kind that goes like that. So I'm going to put that on like a patio block so there's not too much erosion. I put my strawberry plant in the ground here. That can spread. I'm going to try to tame it so it goes this way. Right here along the rows, I planted a whole row of marigolds right there. That's the corn right here. These two are zucchinis. I'm going to try to train them so they come down this way. Those are all cucumbers. If I can help it, I'm going to try to train them so they go out the fence there, so then they can just take over. I made a row of sunflowers right there. Now, I'm not sure what the success rate is going to be yet, but so far there are 28 tomatoes planted. Whichever ones die, I will replace them with store-bought ones. So, these 8 right here are the Marrow Globe, is that how you pronounce it? These ones I think are going to have a good success rate. They were wilting, but now that the sun is off them, they perked right back up. Hopefully tomorrow they'll be able to take the sun. Hopefully they'll be able to adjust to it today. Today I kept them in the shade. They only had a few hours of bright sun. So these ones here, they're a bit smaller as you can see. These ones are wilting a lot more. I don't think that's going to survive. I think it's going to need a replacement. A lot of these I think might need replacements, but only time will tell. These are all the big beef, all 8 of these. Now, there are 12 of my favorite, the cherry tomatoes. They're all extremely small sprouts, you see. Some aren't wilting, some are. I am unsure about this, and I was 2 tomato cages short. I'll get those next time I go to the store. So the tomato cages are about $5 a piece, so it was a big upfront cost, but now I don't have to ever buy them again. And next year, I'm not using that type of planter. I'm gonna grow every single plant I need in the house in little tiny pots. So they have a higher success rate. They won't get stressed out because they'll have all of their own soil going into here. And I'm gonna grow like the exact number I need for the pots and stuff I have. And next year, if this is successful, I'll plant all that in the ground again. Corn doesn't usually take that long to grow. I'm not sure about that type. Hopefully I didn't plant it too close. It said online 12 to 14. I did all that like 8 to 12 because of lack of space, but I still think we'll get a harvest. When I was a little kid, I planted a corn patch and I didn't know anything. I planted them inches apart, just a couple inches apart. And I ended up getting at least a dozen corn stalks, and it was like half the size patch as this. But I recall I didn't get to eat any of them. It was just so disgusting. You peel them open, they were full of earwigs. All right, everything's gonna get a good soaking now. It works perfect. The water's on high and it gets the whole garden nicely. That would go way further if I had more water pressure. It's not actually the water pressure issue, it's the flow rate through the faucet. I ordered a faucet on Amazon, a special one I couldn't buy in the store because it also you can use hot water outside, and the person in the Amazon warehouse put the wrong one in the box and it wasn't caught until it was installed. It has a smaller diameter than what I ordered. So what I think I'm going to do is I think I'm going to install another one on the back of the house where this garden is, because I have this hose going all the way to the front of the building where the faucet is. I think I'm going to add one in the back that's just cold water, that's got a much larger flow. So right now, I can see it right now, that's knocking down a bunch of the little seedlings. I'm hoping they can survive and bounce back. I'm going to let this thing run for about 1 hour and give it a good soaking, get all these seeds activated. It looks like the water pressure somehow just decreased. Yeah, my water seems to do that. It seems to get stronger, shorter. I think it depends when the pressure tank is on or off. No, I think it's when the well is on or off. I think when the well's on, it's got more pressure. Because the pressure tank, the way that works is so the well's not on, off. It goes in, every 30 gallons of water, the well turns back on to fill up the pressure tank, I believe is how it works. So next year, I'm going to reuse these things from the marigolds. This is how I'm going to plant my tomato garden. Start them in the house with these things, or these smaller pots. I'm going to keep collecting all these little pots I can find, reuse them for next year. You see now we're starting to get a little bit more saturated out there. This thing's going to go for 1 hour, and times I'm not home. Last year on the discount shelf at Walmart, last fall when they were trying to get rid of things, I bought a timer for the garden hose. It has a splitter. It can do 2 different gardens at different times, so there's not a water pressure shortage. Each one can be watered a different amount of time. So I'll probably program them to come on like 30 minutes every single night if I'm away. I think that next year I'm also going to get, instead of that one grow lamp, I don't think that's bright enough. It's not enough for all those plants. It's not close enough to the plants. So next year, I think I'm going to get one of those really big ones that generates heat like people use for growing marijuana. I think I'm going to get one of those. It's going to use more energy, but I think it'll work really well. It's got to be insanely bright. That's how I'm going to grow them next year in the house. I got to get a very powerful grow lamp, not like the one I was using. That's good for just a couple plants, but not what I was doing. I'm now realizing that watering this thing every day is going to make this grass around the perimeter grow really fast. And grass, especially when wet, can short this thing out or make it not functional. So what I'm gonna do is, I think, being very careful not to get the plants, maybe every couple weeks I should go around the perimeter. I gotta get a pump sprayer and vinegar around right here where the lawnmower can't get. As long as it doesn't touch any of the plants, they'll be fine. Vinegar is a natural grass and weed killer. In most cases, there's certain kinds of grass that can put up with it. I learned there are certain types in my yard that can put up with it. My soil's already pretty acidic from all the pine trees and stuff. You see how when this thing stops, certain ones are going to grow faster because it makes little puddles every time it stops before it starts coming back the other way. Alright everybody, I hope today's video was interesting, and I will make some updates of this periodically, how it's going, and I'll make a short video at some time testing the electric fence on myself, just to make sure it's working in different points. I'm just going to use the back of my hand. That's how you're supposed to test things like that. Thanks for watching and have a great night. See that right there? That means that one sprinkler head is clogged. And because of that, it doesn't really matter on the other side, but you see how it's dry, this one little strip where it's not reaching? I have to get like a little pin or needle, stick it in there, and whatever it is will likely come out. Hey everyone, it's the next morning, and I just want to show you a few things I did. Last night I went to Lowe's and I got a couple things. This hose was on sale, pretty big discount. And this is just going to go into the fence so I don't have to walk in there and disconnect my other hose from the sprinkler since I use it for a lot of other things so often. I wonder if this crease is going to come out. They had a zip tie on that really hard. Also last night I bought this Roundup pump sprayer, and I'm going to be using vinegar, which is a natural plant killer. I can just spray that around the perimeter and keep things away from the electric fence. This, I feel like you have way more control than just using a spray bottle, because I did a spray bottle about a week ago, and I don't think it's as accurate. So you can change the nozzle, which is really cool. This one's actually a Roundup brand one. I've never used one of those before. I just used the Home Depot's knockoff brand one before when I was spraying mold chemicals in the house. And I bought this beer right here because we're going to be using this right here for making some slug traps. Now a slug trap is a natural way of killing the slugs because we don't want to use insecticides. People make slug traps because it attracts them. They go up and they want to go in there to the beer, and they fall in because they slip and they can't get out and drown. But I'm going to try to redesign that. Some sort of solution where they go in and can't get out, but they don't drown because there's not a lot of it. I'm going to try to figure out a way around killing them so I can just move them just a couple thousand feet into the woods. They won't come back. I made a potato video a couple days ago. I planted in the sandy area. I want to put a couple potatoes right in here along the edge where there's nothing along that walkway. Went to the store, and this time they were on sale, which is amazing because the growing season technically doesn't even start around here for a few days. Why are they already liquidating these? Anyways, these came from Walmart, these ones here. It was only $2 a bag. They were already trying to get rid of them for the year. And the really weird thing was, at the store, don't ever trust Walmart roots. You can trust their bulb plants or these. Their roots, I bought probably 5 rhubarb roots from them about a month ago, and only one lived. I returned one of them. The other ones looked like they were going to live, but they all died. I'm not going to return them now. Even though I could, it's within 30 days. I don't have the wrappers or anything. I bought these on the discount shelf. I think I could use these with little pieces of string to prop up some of the small tomato plants. Same reason I bought these bigger skewers for $1 yesterday at Walmart. And I got this little tomato plant just because I don't think I'm growing any yellow ones. Here's a yellow plant, and I can put that if one of these dies. But we're going to go inside and see if any perked up during overnight. They might wilt again in the hot sun, but if they survive the night, that's a good sign. See this right here? This is what you would call an economy watering can. They have higher end ones. They have metal ones that cost a lot more. I remember this was only like $3 about 10 years ago. Quality's pretty good, and it had a removable higher quality end. Now a economy one right here is about almost $10. The end does not come off. It's all one piece. Now this is not a good thing that the end doesn't come off, because if it gets clogged, it's harder to unclog it not coming off. You're gonna have to, with a hose, jet spray into there. But I bought a couple of these because I'm gonna leave these at the hand pump wells, so I can fill all these things up. I can, with a wagon, bring them all back to the garden and water things myself. Sometimes it's actually fun to pump your own water. So I bought a couple of these. I don't like using insecticides, and this is a last resort that's going to sit in my shed. That was actually 20% off with a coupon at Lowe's. And I got this right here, which is like a big pot, or do you see it in this example? You can turn a whiskey barrel into a fountain or a little pond. I bought this thing here because I want to fill it with water, and I think there's enough room to put it down there in the end of the garden. And I'm going to try to encourage a little aquatic ecosystem in there, because once it gets a little established, so it doesn't turn into a mosquito pond, I'm going to bring a water skimmer over here, and the water skimmer will eat the mosquitoes, tons of them, and likely a spider will also build his web above this. That's what seems to happen with all my little ponds and puddles. At the moment, nothing has died. Some of these leaves look like they're perking up on the cucumbers and zucchinis, on the Marrow Globe tomatoes. None of them look dead. They look slightly wilted, but I think they'll bounce back. Coming over here to the big beef. That one looks like it might die, but the rest look like they have a fighting chance. They're all still slightly wilted. Hopefully today's strong sun doesn't do anything. All these rows are the cherry tomatoes. They all look pretty good, except for, well, that one right there, I'd say is the worst condition. And if it dies, I'll put the yellow one there. Otherwise, that'll go somewhere else. And I did buy yesterday 2 more tomato cages to make up our 28. Yesterday, I also got this because in a few weeks, I'm probably going to start occasionally applying, Miracle-Gro. You just put the blue powder in here, mix it up with water, and then you can spray it out really nice. That's more vinegar down there. And this right here is an insecticide that I'm going to use in one spot. You guys can obviously hear I live next to the highway, and I don't want to see those cars that are driving by through the woods. So on the edge of the highway, I'm going to use this product here to try to prevent the trees from dying, because we're infested with the emerald ash borer, and also, which it's native. It's usually not a tree pest. It usually goes after already dead trees, but because the trees are weak from drought, it's been attacking. I think it's the Sawyer beetle that's in a lot of our trees. I thought at first it was the what's it called? The Asian longhorn beetle, but it turned out not to be after I sent pictures of it and had testing done by the EPA here. And we are infested with emerald ash borer, which it eats between the bark and the tree, girdling it. And I couldn't believe it. Look what I found yesterday. It doesn't feel like as high quality as the other one I have, but I got this at Lowe's. I think this hose will be awesome, honestly. Look at this 6-sided rubber hose. That's really cool. I have a 6-sided rubber Sears Craftsman hose that is 30 years old. No dry rot, still works perfectly, but they stopped making them because these days people want price over quality. They don't care if something has to be thrown out every year or other year, but I do. It's a pain in the butt having to replace things. This thing wasn't even that expensive. It's not a stick, but I think it is going to be high quality because of that. This one, it might have a protective coating on it so it doesn't make a mess at the store, but if it is real rubber, it will likely leave little black marks if you drag it across a white sidewalk. It's no big deal, but people do exaggerate it. They will do that, and they also will make your hand a little black because it is a piece of rubber you're touching after all. Hey everyone, today's the 24th of May, and somebody just asked me about my garden hoses and what I recommend and what I have. So, you don't want to cheap out on a garden hose if you want to keep it for a long time. If you're just going to have a hose going from point A to point B indefinitely, then it's okay to cheap out. Stay away from vinyl or PVC. They will turn white, crack, and be so brittle, they won't even be usable after like 2 years in the sun. So what I have here, this hose is actually awesome. It doesn't kink that much. Got it at the Home Depot. Flexzilla Legacy water hose. And now I have this red one I just bought last year. It's already starting to turn white in the sun. It used to be so bright, but it's still rubbery and working good. They don't make things like they used to. Seriously, they don't make things like they used to. This is a 6-sided hose made by Craftsman. It doesn't have any dry rot. It's so flexible, doesn't kink, and it's 30 years old and still works perfectly, but it will make your white sidewalks dark. Thanks for watching, everybody. Alright everyone, I'm just going to talk a little bit as the video just plays over in silence. So, that black hose is actually pretty nice. I went out and I actually bought a couple more because I've been looking for something similar to that old 30-year-old one for a while. I think the new ones are made out of rubber just like that one in the same way. The new ones, when you're touching them, it makes your hands sticky and oily because I think that's to protect and preserve the rubber until you get it at your house. It should wash off in no time, but I think that's why it wasn't leaving marks and why it smelled weird. But those type of hoses, they're meant to be connected to each other with wrenches, so you may need to tighten it up with some tools. But I really like those kind of hoses, and I definitely wanted to spend the extra money to get those things because I think they'll last a lot longer. Today I set up my garden timer, and it works awesome. I have it for my front garden. It turns on for 1 hour. Then once that shuts off so there's not a pressure drop, it turns on the garden we made in this video today. Now, I am very sorry about how the audio sounded in this video. I recorded this on Saturday, on Memorial Day weekend. I planned on posting this video on Memorial Day, but obviously it was delayed. I spent 2 entire days trying to figure out what was wrong with this video. It has corrupted audio files on a bunch of them, and I think it stems from the time-lapse portions of the video, because when I record in time-lapses over 10 times, they don't include sound, but you hear that little like it's sped up, but it's not. It's stealing whatever that is from somewhere else. When I first saved this video, I thought I was done and I was going to be able to post it right away, but then I uploaded it to YouTube, and right before I was about to post it, I played it to make sure it ran okay, and certain portions of the video sounded like there was 2 or 3 audio tracks over the same video. I didn't do that in my editor, and it was so weird. I tried a different editor, it had the same outcome, and because when I was editing it, it sounded perfect before it actually processed and everything, I went ahead and I started screen recording it, thinking that may have solved it. Then I went ahead and, like right now, I made a copy of the video, sent it over to another device, and while I'm in the editor right now talking to you, I just let it play through the microphone, and that's why it sounded a little echoey, but I think that's the best we're going to be able to get, unfortunately. Sorry about that. I don't know why that happened. I get glitchy videos a couple times a year, but it's very, very rare for the amount of videos I make. I probably make a YouTube video for every day of the year, or the equivalent of it. I've been doing that probably for 7 years straight. I make videos all the time. I actually personally, other than this garden video, this week I haven't been doing too much. I've been just trying to catch up with some projects around the house. But I have such a backlog. We had such a big flooding season. I am still have a good amount of videos on Post 10 that I have to edit together and get done. So I was weird about the audio tracks. I'm trying to describe more of what exactly happened. I spent the past almost hour just sitting here in the car letting these things play through, because what it is if while I'm there touching it and editing it, nothing was glitching, you know? I had to make that into 3 different audio tracks to be able to play that video nicely for you, because for some reason, after a while, it started that double track thing. But all I have to do is touch the editor, and it stops. It wouldn't save, and I'm not sure why. And also, this video is going to have to be in 1080. Can't do it in 4K on this other device I had to send it over to. Just doesn't have the capacity to handle it. So it was really weird. Even the screen recorder couldn't get rid of that glitchy audio. I'm hoping it was just a glitchy file, because just one corrupted file, one corrupted audio file will screw up everything. And because this video started as almost 100 files and things, the 100 files and annotations, all that kind of stuff included. One of them had a glitch, and it's almost impossible to figure out which one it is, because without it being in a long video, it doesn't act that way. So I'm going to call it a day on this video. Good enough. I tried for 2 days straight. I edited it so many times. I'm honestly so sick and tired of listening to this video. I had to listen to it so many times in the past day, editing it over and over, trying to save it in different formats, trying to save it in different qualities. Nothing was working to get rid of those glitches. And I'm done with the video, hopefully. I am hoping as soon as I'm done talking right now, this thing saves and I'm able to post it for you guys. Thanks for watching, and thanks for listening to the end if you stayed to the end. I appreciate you guys, and have a great day. Thank you.